News from the street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon, I am Chanel Webb with the news on the street 919 FM. Now in the headlines, tornado-like winds cause havoc. Hislop to represent TNT after Venezuelan drops out. Association of Funeral Professionals head says Peterkin family should sue the state. An increase in cruise passengers expected for 2024 season, and internationally, at least 52 killed and scores injured in suicide blast in Pakistan. And now the news in detail. Sweltering heat across parts of Trinidad yesterday ended abruptly as roaring thunder, strong winds and torrential rains left several without roofs and electricity. Shortly after midday, according to satellite lightning data, a single isolated thunderstorm developed across south-central Trinidad and rapidly strengthened, producing over 100 lightning strikes per 5-minute intervals. Frequent lightning of this magnitude is a hallmark of a severe thunderstorm activity. Within 30 minutes, damaging gusty winds began to sweep across parts of Gasparillo, including Bonaventure. A narrow area of heavy to violent rainfall and strong winds moved from Bonaventure to Tortuga, Presal, Chickland, Cunupia, and Piaco before the thunderstorm dissipated. Based on incident reports from the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, the ODPM, and the Couva Tabaqui Talpara Regional Corporation, there were 11 reports of blown-off roofs, with the majority occurring in Bonaventure, Gasparillo, including Sunrise Avenue, Surprise Avenue, Bonaventure Road, Fiku Trace, and near the Gasparillo Secondary School. At the secondary school, a tree and multiple branches fell onto a teacher's vehicle, while galvanized sheets were blown into a car at Bonaventure Trace.
Oh my gosh!
Wind gusts up to 50 kilometers per hour blew off roofs in Couva at Indian Trail Village, Cunupia, at Wall Street, Madras Road, and down trees at Presal at Budrum Lane. A sign also fell on a vehicle at the corner of the Southern Main Road and Chinchin Road, Cunupia. Within the Tunapuna Piaco Regional Corporation, a roof was partially blown off onto electricity lines in Piaco at Golden Grove Road and Aruca at Farm Road. Meanwhile, gusty winds also caused damage within the Piaco International Airport. Caribbean Airlines Limited, in a media release, confirmed high winds associated with the early afternoon thunderstorms displaced several galvanized sheets onto a section of hangars 9 and 10 at its Piaco base. Carl added that there were no injuries, all personnel were safe, and contractors conducted an on-site assessment and secured the loose sheets. Trinidad's upcoming cruise season is on the horizon, and all signs point to another year of significant gains for the island's cruise industry. Tourism Trinidad noted that building upon the achievements of the 2022 to 2023 season, initial projections indicate that approximately 88,000 passengers and 30,000 crew will set foot on Trinidad's shores, ushering an influx of economic prosperity, cultural enrichment, and boundless opportunities for local businesses. This represents an estimated 81% increase in passengers from last season, Tourism Trinidad noted on Thursday. It said there are 10 inaugural visits and 5 new cruise lines incoming for this season. There are Seabourn, Expolaris, Victoria Cruises, Silver Seas Cruises, and Sail and Ship Management Company. The last cruise season showcased the remarkable potential of Trinidad's cruise industry. A total of 243 passengers arrived via 29 calls at the cruise ship complex in Port of Spain. We now head on over to Shanaka Phipps with the sports news.
Thank you, Chanel Webb. Good afternoon. I'm Shanaka Phipps with your sports report. AC Port of Spain hold Defence Force to draw in club championship. Boyd fires UE to Monarch Basketball Classic title. And internationally, Manchester United confirmed Brazilian winger is to return to training. To start your sports, Defence Force will need to win their final match of the 2023 CONCACAF Caribbean Cup Championship Series at home next Wednesday against Mocha FC of the Dominican Republic, or face the possibility of elimination should they draw. Last night, striker Brent Sam scored deep into the added on time, but only rescued an unlikely and dramatic 1-1 draw for the 2023 Trinidad and Tobago Premier League Championship in the local derby against Athletic Club Port of Spain at the Hasey Crawford Stadium. Defence Force faced Mocha in the winners take-all final match of the preliminary round next Wednesday at the Hasey Crawford Stadium from 8 p.m. The Army failed miserably last night in their effort to get all full points over their local rivals. In further sports, national basketball player Akil Boyd led University of the West Indies men's basketball team to the title over University of Guyana, the final of the Monarch Basketball Classic tournament Sunday on UWI-SPEC St. Augustine. The St. Augustine campus team, under the coaching of Colonel George, exacted revenge for Trinbago Knight Riders after they lost to Guyana Amazon Warriors in the Caribbean Premier League final on the same night. The unstoppable Smalley Boyd led the charge against the Guyanese opposition on the night, scoring from layups, jumps, and several three-pointers from close to the center court on his way to a tournament high 57 points, 5 assists, and 7 rebounds. Boyd was in the red hot from throughout the tournament, dropping 44 points in the semi-final round. Internationally, Manchester United's Brazilian winger Anthony is to return to training after allegations of domestic abuse were made against him. It is understood the 23-year-old spoke to Greater Manchester Police on Thursday and had no restrictions were placed on him following the interview. United source says he has provided evidence in support of his strong denials of the allegations. He has not been arrested for charge in either Brazil or the UK. In a statement, United said, as Anthony employer, Manchester United has decided that he will resume training at Carrington and be available for selection while police inquiries proceed. This will be kept under review pending further developments in the case. And that's all for your sports. Do have a safe weekend. Now back to you, Chanel.
In other news, local franchise holder of Miss Grand International Stolen Productions Limited, head of marketing and public relations, Kerry Gobodan, has contradicted claims made by Matarano's team and said the company was sponsoring the TNT's delegate to Vietnam. Gobodan confirmed first runner-up in the Miss Grand International TNT pageant, Rebecca Hislop, will now represent the country in the international pageant in Vietnam next month. He said his attorneys are preparing a statement on what was said, as the accusations they were making were inaccurate. The new delegate, Rebecca, the company will be sponsoring her trip, her tickets, and accommodation, which are in fact already paid for, said Gobodan. Matarano on Wednesday relinquished the controversial crown, citing a willingness to continue her reign but a lack of funding to attend the October 25, 2023 international pageant in Vietnam. Matarano's lawyer, led by Wayne Sturge, claimed local franchise holder for Miss Grand International, Stolen Productions Limited, had reneged on its promise to find sponsorship for her trip. The support team of former Miss Grand International TNT, Milady Matarano, has said they will be moving ahead with legal action seeking redress after an alleged lack of sponsorship saw the Venezuelan dropping out this week. We now head on over to Kyle Cumberbatch.
Audio Jungle.
Thank you, Chanel. Today we'll have generally hot and sunny conditions with the chance of light showers. Initially partly cloudy conditions are expected with few showers and a 40% chance of isolated thunderstorms at night. Conditions will settle by midnight. Gusty winds and street flash flooding may occur near showers and thunderstorms. Our waves may vary from 2.5 to 3 meters in the leewards and 1.5 to 2 meters elsewhere in open waters, but fly below 1 meter but occasionally be choppy in sheltered areas. Today's max forecasted temperature in Piaco is 34.1 degrees Celsius and in Crown Point 32.8 degrees Celsius. Last night's minimum temperature was 24.2 degrees Celsius in Piaco and 26.4 degrees Celsius in Crown Point. Thank you, my name is Kyle Cumberbatch. That was your weather report on the Street 919 FM, and back to you, Chanel.
Audio Jungle.
In more news, Association of Funeral Professionals of Trinidad and Tobago President Keith Belgrove is advising the parents of the 4 Peterkin murder victims to explore their legal options over the state their bodies were allowed to deteriorate before autopsies were conducted. His call came yesterday after the parents viewed their bodies at the Forensic Science Center in St. James on Tuesday and found the bodies of 3 of the 4 siblings to be swollen and discolored. On September 22nd at approximately 12:30, gunmen opened fire on the house at La Retreat Extension Heights of Guanapo, where Faith Peterkin 10, Ariana Peterkin 14, Shane Peterkin 17 and Tiffany Peterkin 19 were asleep. 5 of their relatives were also injured in the attack. However, the siblings' father, Sean Peterkin, complained about the state of their bodies after viewing and identifying them on Tuesday. The funeral for the siblings is carded for today in Arima. Belgrove yesterday said this was not the first time something like this has happened, adding the association has been trying to get an audience with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to form a committee to deal with the collection of bodies from crime scenes. He said, while he was not satisfied with the explanation given by the funeral home which handled the bodies, he believed the police were at fault. Belgrove added that the police practice of keeping bodies in hot vehicles waiting for an autopsy for long periods was poor practice, but in this case, he believes it was clearly a refrigeration issue as the victims were young without any health issues. He said there's a simple solution to fix the problem, but due to a lack of proper organization, the family was put in even more distress. Now internationally, a religious gathering to celebrate the birthday of Islam's Prophet Muhammad turned deadly Friday in Pakistan when a suicide bomber exploded a powerful device, killing at least 52 people and leaving some 70 injured in an attack targeting the worshippers and police. Local officials said the blast in the Mustang district of Pakistan's southwest Balochistan province, which has faced decades-long nationalist rebellion, as well as multiple attacks by the ISIS faction in the region, had targeted the procession as worshippers left the mosque. No group immediately claimed responsibility for Friday's explosion, but the Pakistani Taliban a collection of religious extremist subgroups that separate from the Afghan Taliban but closely allied with the group that retook power in Afghanistan in August 2021, denied responsibility. ISIS Khorasan, or ISIS-K, a branch of the terror group that operates in Pakistan and Afghanistan, is also active in the province, has claimed previous deadly attacks in Balochistan and elsewhere. The Baluch nationalists, who have fought for years for independence in the oil-rich province bordering Afghanistan and Iran, typically target security officials rather than civilians. Recapping the headlines. Tornado-like winds cause havoc. Hislop to represent TNT after Venezuelan drops out. Association of Funeral Professionals head says Peterkin family should sue the state. An increase in cruise passengers expected for 2024 season. And internationally, at least 52 killed and scores injured in a suicide blast in Pakistan. Good afternoon, I am Chanel Webb, and that was the news on the street 919 FM.
News from the street. News from the street. 919fm.com.